Instagrammers. Hey there, Facebookers. So good to be here with you. I'm Donna Hoffman. They call me the Interior Design Advocate because we love to advocate on your behalf. We are on a mission to wipe out the ugly room, get you empowered to actually get the results. Actually create beautiful things in your home. We want your home to be your haven, your escape to someplace wonderful. And so if you are an information overload, boy, are we here to help you. You can check out anything that we have to offer on our website at theinteriordesignadvocate.com, and know that every Tuesday we stop whatever we're doing here at our luxury interior design company. We come out here just to talk to you, just to give you a mini lesson on something, and then to take your questions about whatever that topic is. And I see I'm getting waves and hellos from people. So hello, Jill, and hello, people over there. I can't see you, Kevin, unless I put the glasses on and lean in. So hello to everybody. So we are talking about molding today, molding and millwork, whether you spell it M-O-L-D-I-N-G or I guess it's more English, M-O-U-L-D-I-N-G. I see it both ways in texts and so forth that I've studied. But I wanted to answer some basic questions by teaching a lesson. And of course, I will answer your questions so you can type them in at any time. All righty. So what's the story with molding and millwork? How should you approach that base or crown molding? Should you do it? How big should it be? Well, a couple of things for you to know. Remember when you were a little kid and you would color in a coloring book? If you left your drawing as is, but colored inside the lines, it looked pretty, it looked neat. But if you outlined everything with a marker or with a crayon, the drawing just became a little more papa, a little more interesting, right? Well, that's kind of what molding and millwork does in a room. When you put a gorgeous looking base or crown in a room, or even a very simple base and crown in a room, you are outlining, you're delineating the architecture of that room. So right off the bat, adding a beautiful crown is a great way to suddenly add interest to a room that was kind of ho-hum or really didn't have a lot of architectural interest to it. So the issue becomes, you know, how big should a crown be? How big should a base be? Well, there are general tools to use, but I want you to know these aren't rules. These aren't rules that you can't break. But generally speaking, in ceiling heights of 8 feet or less, which would be 7 feet, but usually 8-foot ceilings, you'll see a crown of usually in the 3-inch to 5-inch area. And then once you get into 9-foot ceilings or above, you'll see the 7-inch molding, the 6s, the 7s, and up. You can have applied moldings that really start to get, you know, bigger and beefier, and they can even curve up like onto the ceiling if you're talking about a beautiful crown. So what about the base moldings? Well, similar kind of thing. In a lower ceilinged room, a standard 8-foot ceiling, your base molding will tend to be in that 3 to 5-inch, maybe a 6-inch. General rule, so again, I'm going to call it a tool rather than an unbreakable rule, but generally it's helpful if you keep your crown and your base in relative connection to each other in terms of size. So if you're doing a 5-inch crown, you might want to do a 5-inch base. Do you have to do that? No. I've seen many a beautiful 8-foot ceilinged rooms with a nice beefy 5-inch crown and a 3.5-inch base. Especially if the budget is pressed, put the money into that crown molding. It'll really make a big difference. And I guess maybe I should back up. I want to make sure everybody understands. You know that a base molding is what goes at the bottom from the floor up, right? And the crown is from the ceiling down, right? And then there's another molding that people use as well, and that would be a chair rail. Chair rails are usually set anywhere from 28 to 32 inches off the floor. It can go higher in a taller ceilinged room. And there have been times for dramatic effect when I'll take a chair rail to, 42 inches because I'm working in a vaulted ceiling master bathroom and I want to do something really interesting there. So I want to do a nice tall chair. And you can also do that if you want a more modern look, and you can also do that if you want a New England-y kind of a Cape Cod-y kind of look as well. So think about your ceiling height relative to how beefy those moldings get. Here's some interesting little oddities. For some reason, when you do a really tall base molding in a room, you tend to drive the ceiling up higher a little bit visually. So if you have a little powder room that you're working in and you want to do something fun and interesting, you might want to do some beefier moldings, especially taking that that base molding up a little bit higher. Something I want you to think about too is, are you going to stain it? Or are you going to paint it? And I get that question a lot. And there is no right, there is no wrong. Here's the story. You know, obviously, if you're living in a Frank Lloyd Wright home, you probably have stained millwork and moldings. If you are in a craftsman style home, you probably have stained millwork and molding. Now, if you have steel frame windows, black steel frame windows, do you have to stain your molding? No, not at all. Can you? Yes, you can, but you don't have to. Here's the thing to remember if you are not bound by a design style like Craftsman, or you're not trying to maybe do something historically accurate in a, you're living in a Painted Lady, Victorian. I want you to think about, ask yourself, do I want that molding and millwork to really come forward toward my eye, toward the eye, or do I want it to recede and really just create a freshness and a brightening in the space? If you want a freshness and a brightening, you want painted crowns and bases. If you want to bring a wall in, or you want to do something a little bit moodier and richer looking, then you want a stained crown and millwork. Now remember, it's not just the crown and the base. You also have something called casings that go all the way around all your doors, all of your windows, even room openings, right? Those casings not only outline those things, just like a crown and base do, but those casings also help protect the wall as you move past them. If you have stained casings and millwork and crown and base, just be careful about how much other warmth you are broadcasting on the wall colors, because if you don't want a muddy look at the end of the day, then you're going to want to keep those wall colors probably more to some soft whites, dirty whites, grayed down whites, that sort of thing, when you start going into, I don't know, a deep chocolate brown on a wall, or a berry on a wall, or a navy on a wall, where there's also stained millwork. That room can start to get pretty heavy looking as well, okay? And the last thing I would tell you in terms of stain versus paint, what do your inspiration images point out to you? Do you tend to pull images that have all that rich staining on the millwork, or is everything painted to a pretty white? I will tell you that when Katie and I were up at the Kips Bay Show House in New York this last, the one for this past year, we saw a lot of interesting new perspectives on moldings and millwork beyond the traditional. Right now, when you see molding and millwork that has a lot of intricacy, a lot of detail, a lot of buildup, tends to be more traditional. Well, interestingly, some of the designers in this show house, like Juan Montoya, were doing really interesting scalloping as the entire millwork story throughout a room, running north-south, or really interesting raised panel millwork running throughout a room, but it was squares next to squares next to squares, all raised panel with a little like cameo medallion in the center of them. May sound awful. It was fantastic. So to say that attention and intricacy in millwork means a space is going to be traditional, not so anymore. And even when I was in Paris recently, the millwork in the room I stayed in was really beautiful. And although the hotel public areas were more traditional looking, the rooms had a much more current city vibe. And the way this millwork was handled reinforced that. So I want you to let go of this idea that the more millwork, the more traditional it has to be. So I see questions are coming on in. So my dolls, I'm going to start answering them. Okay, so hellos to everybody who's been sending me hellos. Amy Lyman is saying or asking, I just did beadboard and batten in a client's dining room. She is a true minimalist, and it was a challenge to update her dining room without a bunch of knickknacks. Just adding the framing to the walls really opened up the room. Case in point, well stated, Amy. Thank you for sharing. Right there, I'm giving you a fist bump on that one, Amy. Nice job. Linda is saying, when you have a tray ceiling, do you add crown equally to both ceiling levels, or keep the bottom crown big and the second ceiling crown smaller? Well, okay, so Linda, so So you have your walls go up, and then you have the what's called the flat, and then you go up again, right, into your tray. You said tray. Answer is you can do all of the above or none of the above. You could just take your crown to the first flat and that's it. Or you can really go into, every time you break into more ceiling, you could go into another piece of interesting crown and millwork. And you could even do an interesting detail in the very top center of that tray as well. You can go for it. So what I would tell you, Linda, or ask you to do, look at your inspiration images. Do you like a lot of intricacy in your molding and millwork, or do you like things just clean and simple? If you're a clean, simple gal, I'd say take it up for sure to the first flat, and then I would do something very simple and on that next level as well. But you may not want to do something on the inside of the ceiling of the tray. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense to you. Kathy is giving me waves. I'm getting waves from Eleanor and Martina, waving to you guys back. I know there are people waving on Instagram. I just can't read your names. Oh, I can now. Look, Missy. Hello, Missy, and hello, Maureen. That's good. Can't. If I touch that phone, it's going to go toppling. It literally is put up with very special tape that Katie and I use. Very high-tech electrical tape, I might add. Hey, look, we're designers. We're not installers. What can I tell you? Okay, Lori is asking, what about oak? Oak floors, casings, doors. What wall color do you recommend? Would white crown molding look odd? Lori, I don't know what your entire palette looks like, what your whole home looks like, so I would do you a terrible disservice to either A, give you a paint color, or B, come in and tell you, you know, well, necessarily exactly what paint color to use. Sorry, a text just came in on my phone and it distracted me. So I'm sorry, Lori, it broke my concentration. Without seeing what you're showing me, I mean, I think a soft white, farmhouse white type of wall would be really handsome with what you're talking about, Lori. I don't think white molding would necessarily look odd. I don't know what else you have in your home. You know, you might be doing like modern farmhouse, you know, you could do white molding with everything else, you know, that you're showing. So I need to see more, but I don't see a problem with you going in either direction. Hope that helps you. You know, design is a visual animal. So some of these questions I really need to see what you're talking about and what you have in your home, Lori. So, Lori, I don't know if you're one of my students, if you're in one of my courses. Your name doesn't look familiar. If you are in one of my courses, you know, you can always post a picture in the private Facebook group, and then I can look at what you're talking about. Okay, Rhonda is saying, how do you size ceiling medallions for a room? Well, Rhonda, is it going over a table? I like to keep it, I like to do it relative to the room size. But if it's over a dining table, I'm aware of what that dining table size is as well. And also what's the fixture size beneath it. So that's kind of, hopefully that kind of gets you moving into a more, gets your creative juices flowing on that. I hope I answered you enough. But really, I mean, just as you always look at light fixture size in a room that doesn't have a dining table in it relative to the total room, same thing with that medallion. You know, you don't want the medallion, Rhonda, to overpower what you're doing. It's just there as an accent to add another layer, another piece of jewelry in and around whatever light fixture is going in that space. So I am not a giant lover of ceiling medallions, I have to tell you. I think that they can look very, very much like afterthoughts, and I think sometimes they can look like over-designed kinds of things. We just did a dining room for someone. There was a ceiling medallion in place already. I didn't find it offensive. I said, hey guys, to my clients, if you like it, let's leave it. But I would much rather see you put your money into great looking crown, you know, build the crown up, let that crown come up off the wall, Rhonda, up onto the ceiling a little bit. Would rather see you do that type of build up as opposed to putting money into a medallion and energy. That's just me. Lori is writing back saying molding, not mounding. Did I misspell it? No, maybe you misspelled it. Better you than me, Cookie Puss, but okay. Brissa is telling me hi from Mexico. Hi, Brissa in Mexico. Sandra's saying more hellos. Okay, Sabea. How much do you charge to decorate one room? It's a living room. Sabea, call these are teaching sessions, but I'm really delighted that you would like to hire our company. I promise I don't come out here to find people who will hire a company to design privately. I'm really coming out here to serve all the general public design lovers out there. But thank you, Sabea. I'm really, I'm flattered and honored, so thank you. And you can email us and contact our studio. There's usually a wait list for us to start designing projects, and right now we're running at about a 3.5, 4-month wait list for us to start. Sometimes that's a 6-month wait list, so we're catching up nicely, which is good. All right, Jill is saying, are you aware of the issues around crown molding on adjacent walls when a vaulted ceiling is involved? Yeah, I am. Is there a trick to making the cut? Well, Jill, I am not an installer, so I always look to my master carpenters to say, hey, what can be done? And I think some of you know, I was nicely asked to leave a sewing shop once. I was also nicely asked to leave a shop that had like big wood cutting saws in it. I was told that my ideas were great, but I really didn't belong around the machinery. So Jill, I can't tell you what to do with that cut, but what I often will do, I'll stop that crown and do a return before we get to the vault. I'll either have the guys, the talented guys, dead end it, and if there's a wall to dead end something into, we'll do that. And if not, we'll just do a really crisp return. And I can't show you what that is, but a return is sort of a finished open edge on a piece of millwork. I've done open returns on crowns. I've done them on chair rails as well. If you're in an area, well, I won't get into the chair rail open thing, but anyway, there you go. So hopefully that answers you, Jill. I'm a babbling maniac today. I want you to know why. I just came back from the dentist. Now, most people get into pain when they're drilling your teeth. That didn't happen. I was in pain during the cleaning. No, she wasn't hitting a nerve. Okay, do you know that thing they do with that, that toothbrush that spins really to polish everything? Yeah. She kept polishing my lip. And I kept saying, stop, you're getting my lip caught in this thing. I feel like I need to put my lip in a sling right now. I need crutches for my lip. I'm so distracted by the lip pain I'm having right now. It's shorting out my synapses, but that's a little bit why I'm babbling. The other reason could be we're working like maniacs here in the studio. But Jill, I hope I answered you well on that one. Okay, Rhonda said, thank you, you're welcome. Final 2 questions. Okay, final 2 questions. I don't think we have any more questions. Sabea, why don't you go to our website, www.theinteriordesignadvocate.com, and there should be a way to contact us. Is there a way to contact us there?
Yeah, you can email.
Yeah, you can email us. Yeah, so go to the website, and there should be a way to contact customer service, and they can put you in touch with our company, or the design side of our company. For those of you who don't know what's going on here and wondering, hey, what is all this about? We have a luxury interior design company, award-winning. I'm proud to say, because of the great team I have. I'm grateful for whatever I did in whatever past life to have the amazing team I have. So you can see some of our awards behind me. And we work in luxury interior design. And then, oh dear, why is that doing that? Yeah, and then my computer's doing crazy things. Is that because of my lip injury? I don't know. I hope I'm still broadcasting.
Looks fine.
Yeah, okay, looks good. And then we have another brand called the Interior Design Advocate. Why did I start the Interior Design Advocate? I started it because I felt very frustrated watching design lovers, wise women just like you, spinning your wheels, not getting results you want, getting some terrible guidance and terrible one-off advice I felt in blog posts that were written by people who were more like lifestyle bloggers who suddenly were giving out design advice, never having studied design. And well-meaning as they were, I saw that it was confusing people. And I also felt that people were kind of Pinterest pinning themselves and overhousing themselves and getting into analysis paralysis. And I was so frustrated seeing the frustration I was seeing, women not getting the result they wanted in their home. So I told my team, hey, that's it. We're starting a new brand. They said, really? Like, what, in our spare time? I said, no, we're starting it. We're just doing it. And it's a place where I want design lovers women who love design, who want beautiful homes, who may not be hiring designers. It may not be right for your budget. It may not be right for your values, whatever, your priorities. I just wanted a place where design lovers could come for inspiration, but also strategy and design guidance. So that's why we create the products we do. They're systems, they're complete deep dives. And we're creating some amazing things for 2019. One is going to be subject specific based upon a lot of requests I've gotten, and it's going to involve this big event that will be online, live. Excited about that. More information to come as we are ready to release that. And we're also exploring some other interesting things that could involve all of us being together in one location together. So stay tuned for that. So that's why we're doing what we're doing. All right, I don't see any more questions coming in, so I'm going to assume that we have gotten everybody taken care of. Bum, bum, bum. Last look for questions here. No, I think we got it. Okay, dolls. It was great spending time here with you. Next week, here's the story. I'm going to give you a choice on topic for next week. What would you rather? Would you rather how to decorate with your spouse and not lose your mind? Or would you rather what don't they tell you about what they're doing on HGTV? So would you like how to decorate with your spouse without losing your marbles? Or would you like what don't they tell you on HGTV? Now, normally this is when I hold up an interesting little sign that says, hey, follow us on Instagram. I don't have my interesting little sign, so I'm just going to say follow us on Instagram. You guys already are, but give us a follow. I have it in the notes there, at decorating.genius. It's at decorating.genius. I feel somebody is about to hand me the sign. Here comes the sign. There it is. So give us a follow at decorating.genius. We'd love to have you with us on Instagram. Okay, lovelies, tell us what you want us to do next week. Is it how to decorate with your husband without losing your marbles, or is it what they never tell you on HGTV? And we will do that for you. Landslide for HGTV. Landslide. Okay, there it is. That's what we're doing next week. What don't they tell you on that delicious, fabulous, fun channel, HGTV? Gotta love them. We'll be talking. All right, guys. See you next week. Have a good one. Bye-bye.